Hello everyone, my name is Dellair Youssef and this is Revision Soziokultur podcast. One day a friend of mine sent me a link and told me to apply for this job. It looks like it fits you. I took a look and I said, okay, this looks interesting. Let's apply. I did. And then I had an interview with three nice people. I made some of my so-called stupid jokes, but thankfully they liked them and gave me the job. This job is, and I'm reading from their website, looking to commission a digital artist for a storytelling commission between April and December 2022 to create a 6-part multimedia diaries. This commission is open to artists globally. You must be bilingual, German-English. So, I have to do what they call multimedia diaries on the topic of socioculture in Germany by working with two other artists, an electronic musician, Benjamin Berry, and a comic artist, Azam Mazoumzadeh. And I have the freedom to select the multimedia form I want to profile 14 different projects. I decided to make 6 short videos, one for each part of this diary, and a podcast, which is the one we are listening to. In this podcast, I will host different projects that interact with the concept of socioculture. I wanted to understand this thing and what it means, honestly, and from the beginning. One of the main reasons that made me apply to this job was to see the world with different eyes, to get out of my comfort zone and try to talk to others, to other artists who live and work out of my circle. And yet, this is my first episode in my way to understand socioculture, or in English, socioculture, through the eyes and voices of some inspiring people who live and work all over Germany. And in this episode, I'm hosting members of Sei Collective Team, which is a magazine that cares about culture, politics, environment, sexism, and a lot of other things. I was super wowed by their work and by their mentality. And at first I chose to talk to them because of their work and the way Sei Collective interact with journalism. Maybe to reimagine journalism and to answer the question, is journalism a form of activism? This interview was set online because they are located in different cities. And here we go. Who are you, and can you please introduce yourself individually?
Yeah, okay, I can start. Hi, my name is Nora. I'm currently studying communication design. I moved to Hanover. Yeah, and I'm an illustrationist at I illustrate.
I'm Frida. I'm currently doing my master's in cross-disciplinary strategies in Vienna, and I'm very passionate about writing and also more and more into the direction of curating. And yeah.
I'm Carla, and I'm studying in Berlin Scandinavistic and European ethnology, and I'm writing a lot of stuff, lyrics, and also short stories, and kind of want to get more into journalism, I think. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Can you tell me please about your project? So, how did it start? we're talking about Zai Collective. So, who are you? The people working there. Who are these people? And why do you do it? So, why do you do this project? Why are you working in this place?
I can start about how Zai started. So the idea for the Zai Collective kind of was developed 4 years ago by now by like three of us who were living, some of us living in Vietnam at this time, and we were like writing about our experiences, but also a lot of this was happening in the process. So we were sharing what we were writing and really like this. We have been interested in journalism before, but we felt like as it was at the moment, there was not a platform where we felt comfortable publishing and where we felt like it was also that was open for young voices and for the stuff we wanted to write about, and also to maybe experiment a bit with the boundaries of journalism. So when does journalism become art? What role do pictures and illustrations play? So from this idea on, we decided if this platform does not exist yet, we might as well start it. And so with a few other people, I think Nora was also there right from the start. We just kind of very naively and idealistically tried to set up a space under the framework that we would feel comfortable with. So we were thinking like, what would it need for young people to feel to feel confident to publish their stuff for them, also for the first time, and what topics do we want to write about? And so the idea of Zai as a collective of kind of young art media interested people who share some political or idealistic values, so to say, was developed. And in the beginning, it was also called Zai, the magazine for visions, I think. It kind of sounds weird in the translation, but we were always like motivated by the desire kind of to in the sense of constructive journalism, also to tell stories that are not covered by day-to-day news maybe, and that have like to have a longer time to work on stories and to support people to work on their story, but also in a collaborative way together with artists or with visual artists and text artists stuff, and to combine that.
And who are the people working there?
I think it depends. They're like, I would say 15 people who are like in the very active part, but they're about like around 50, I would say, that are like in the bigger circle who are like once published or continue to publish and are there for some projects, but they're like more on a project-based level.
Okay. What you just said, Frida, like make me like think about like so many different questions. So I would be, when you say like when you go to your website, you see like you're a magazine that works between like journalism, activism, and art, and you just like mentioned something like that, And so my question would be like, what does that mean exactly, and how does that work? Like, what is like like something between journalism, activism, art?
I think it's, for one point, it's about the articles we publish on the website and also in magazine magazine, I would say, and also that we do workshops and collective meetings where we talk about things. And those workshops, I think I haven't joined one yet, but I know a few. I think there was a classismus workshop in the past. And also for the future, we want to create an awareness concept a bit more. So we want to working towards place where it's nice to live and where we all feel safer in a way. And I think also creating more safer spaces for all of us. So that's also my kind of idea of activism in a way.
No, sorry, I just wanted to add that also how to position ourselves between art journalism and activism is something we're constantly trying to figure out and have discussions about because sometimes it seems for people contrary, especially between like journalism and activism, and how can journalism remain powerful when it becomes, or is it too easily becoming activism and thereby position? But I think for me, and I think we all in the collective have a bit of different points in it, but we see that actually as something good. And for me personally, I feel like every voice is situated in a specific context, so there's no like neutrality or objective truth, and we're just trying through our working methods, by working collaboratively, and by deciding consciously which questions we want to ask and why, and reflecting on that, we are kind of very conscious about the decisions we try to make also with our journalistic pieces. And by that, for me, journalism becomes kind of art and activism when it tries to tell new stories, or when it creates a new narratives by also not just including words, or by including literary elements, and or also by deciding whose story to tell and which voices to amplify. And so I think this is also important.
So like what you're saying is like culture or like journalism could turn into political activism too.
I would say it has a relationship to that, or there's an activist element in in a lot of kind of journalistic work, and or journalistic strategies, maybe to call it that.
Okay. So again, going to your website, like you can see, and like the way you present yourself, that you're like young people, like all of you, I guess, no? And young, I don't mean like young, I mean like teenagers, but I mean like younger than like what you see in regular newspapers or magazines or stuff. And you care about what you call XYZ generation, you care about feminism, you care about environment, and these things like you don't really see in like regular media outlets. So why did you decide to go on this direction? Which is like I think at least it's like not the easy direction to go, no?
For me, it's just like a very easy answer, because it is like the topics we are interested in, and we were thinking like our friends and our like people around us would be interested in. So that's why we decided to go in that direction.
But then you have like challenges, right?
Yeah, but
like financial challenges, probably reaching out to people, stuff like that.
No, I would say like the biggest challenge was like the way that we don't have, or we try, there's no like more experienced person who kind of like manages all, but we really try to be like as a collective to make decisions also in a consensual way, and to have as many people involved and let people try out new things. So even if you've never done illustrating before, or a lot of people start with something like with writing, and then they try out illustrating, or they start with illustrating and then they publish their poems. So it's like a very swift or very smooth changes. And also with organizing and structures, I think none of us has ever like done stuff like applying for this kind of amount of funding before, or to manage what it means like to be a Verein in Germany. It's quite difficult, and all the legal stuff. So I think it's all like this learning by doing, and trying to also learn from and with each other. And I think this is sometimes challenging because there's no one who exactly knows the way, or knows what the next steps should be, and or couldn't say like, or no one has like, also we're kind of limited in our capacities because their money comes in, because we do have to do stuff aside, to work aside, maybe to finance ourselves. And so it's always also how to prioritize this. So we don't have this standing yet where we can say, okay, all of my life I just dedicate to Zai. So we really have to be intrinsically motivated, and processes take a lot of time because of the way we are structured and the way we are working. So maybe that is a challenge.
Okay, since we mentioned now, so the fund, I will go to you got fund by the Soziokultur fund, so it's translated into socioculture, I guess.
what does this fund do to you? How does it change your plans? Like what like that does it play any role in like your planning?
I think it does a lot. For first thing to say, when we found this Soziokultur found the program, it was like, okay, that's exactly what we are doing now. We are in a process and we want to go like all the way, and this would help us to work even more on it, and also to be able to have more space and also the capacity for it, because a lot of us are also working, are studying and maybe also working at the same time. So if you would be able to pay people for it, we could have a lot more space and capacity for it and time. Um, and I think now it already changed kind of things for Zai.
So what's your plan?
I think we still try to have our little, or what Kala said earlier, to have Zai as a safer space, which not necessarily reproduces all the logics and structures of society. So also to have a space to experiment and to fail and to try out and to do stuff which normally there are conditions which make it hard to do so, because we're like, I don't know, very output motivated in like other parts of society, and to have Zai as a space, or the collective as a space which is built on cooperation and support, I would say, and relationships. So I think what we try to do is to think about what does it mean for us to have this funding, what does it mean to get money for work, how do we want to give that money, and we think about we want to create a system where people get paid according also to their needs, so that people get the chance to get paid for work they are doing already, if they feel like it. So it's a lot about communication and a lot about building structures that enable like an inclusive way of distributing the money. And also we want to work with the money to work on sustainable structures. So as Carla said, to work on an awareness concept is one of the big things we want to do with the money. So to get help from outside on how to create those inclusive structures, also with like power patterns in mind. And the other thing is how can we secure funding for like a longer period to get more like sustainable also in how we locate our resources. And the third thing is we want to network with other collectives and to learn from each other, because I think there are so many other great initiatives and collectives out there who are struggling with similar issues, that you have this very high ideals on how you want to work together, and then you have reality that you actually have to pay rent, and then you kind of have to bridge that gap somehow without losing your ideals. So it also took us, maybe also transparency, took us very long to decide if we should apply for funding, and we had some ideas before which we decided against to not apply for funding because we felt it wasn't worth giving up certain ideas of the collective to apply for funding. But then we felt super happy, or we're super happy still that Soziokultur Fonds worked out, because it felt so fitting for what we were aiming to do, and not just focused on a certain outcome, or not increasing pressure on our work, but giving us resources to work more freely and more independently.
This is very inspiring, actually. You said like you're 4 years old and you still like that motive to do it, and that's like really inspiring. And that like takes me like to ask you about the community that you like, or like communities you are like interacting with. How do you see this community? And then like an added question would be like, what does socioculture means to you? How do you define that?
Yeah, for me, the community with Zai is like one of the most thing I like the most value of Zai, maybe for me, because it's very supportive, and which I don't like. In other groups I sometimes feel a little bit insecure, but with Zai it's always, I can say whatever I want and be like seen, if that makes sense. And it's just a lot of trust and a lot of appreciation. Yeah, it's mostly it's like it is socioculture in a word. Like it's being together, being social with each other, and like see each other.
I agree with what you said, that socioculture culture also means for me to like focus on the process and the like being together and the learning and the what kind of connections are formed through it, and by using or by cultural methods, so to say. So we like, for example, when we have collective meetings, we try to also take time to include some like creative exercises, or when we do write together, we have we give like workshops where we introduce creative writing methods, for example, which are not only like having like this is like a social thing because then it's like learning and bringing people together, but it's also art or artistic methods as a way to express and reflect, and seeing culture as something to be shaped with. And maybe that's also like culture for me is a more inclusive understanding of what culture is. So trying to make it accessible, what often is defined as like maybe like culture, and to be there and just like take up the space and define what it means and redefine and stuff.
That's very interesting. I hope you all the success in the world, and I'm pretty sure with this motive you like reach something.
This was the first episode from Revision Soziokultur podcast, and I am Dellair Youssef. I was hosting Noura, Frida, and Kala from Zai Collective magazine. This podcast is supported by Fonds Soziokultur. The music is composed by Benjamin Berry. See you in the next episode.